In this video, we're going to be speaking about why tenants are happy, why this is the most dangerous assumption you can make. Your tenant isn't happy, or you may think your tenant is happy. In many cases, they're just scared to say anything, and that changes the moment you give them a reason to. My tenants are happy, so I'm fine. Here's the truth most landlords don't want to hear. A lot of tenants stay quiet not because everything's fine, but because they're worried about what would happen if they speak up. You don't visit often. They say nothing. Rent gets paid. You assume that means happy. In reality, many tenants are fixing small things themselves. A dripping tap, a broken cupboard, mold they wipe off before it gets noticed because they're scared that raising it might give them a rent increase, or worse, it might get themselves noticed. The silence isn't satisfaction, it's a fear in many cases, and fear-based silence doesn't last forever. And here's what's changing right now. Section 21 is gone. That fear tenants used to have, if I complain, I'll get evicted. That leverage doesn't exist for landlords anymore. Tenants know it, and it changes how they behave. We've already seen it. Tenants are coming out of the woodwork. Repairs that they were never mentioned for years are suddenly being raised. Complaints that stayed quiet are suddenly going to the council. Here's the moment it happens for most landlords. The moment you try to increase the rent, the moment you try to end a tenancy, the moment a repair gets delayed and the tenant feels ignored, that's when the silence now breaks. It doesn't break quietly. And here's what makes it worse. Without Section 21, a tenant who falls behind on rent or who you'd normally expect to move on now has far less pressure to go anywhere quickly. They can simply stay, sometimes for months, while everything plays itself out. On top of that, there's a whole industry now being built around this. Claims companies actively encourage tenants to pursue landlords for disrepair, hazards and compliance failures, and it is typically cost the tenant nothing to start a claim. On top of that, there's a whole industry now being built around this. Claims companies actively encourage tenants to pursue landlords for disrepair hazards and compliance failures, and it typically costs the tenant nothing to start a claim. No upfront fees, no risk to them. That imbalance means that very little holding a tenant back, right, from raising everything at once. The moment they feel that there's something to gain, by then, it's not one issue, it's every issue all raised together. Right as you've been given a local authority or a claims firm a reason to look closely. Category 1 hazard, mandatory action. Category 2 still enforced, civil penalties, rent repayment orders. All of it triggered by the exact moment you thought that you were managing your property normally. So what's the solution? So don't wait for that moment to find out what's been sitting there quietly. Speak to your tenant properly. Not is everything okay, but specific direct questions. Ask are repairs that they've handled themselves, anything they've noticed but not mentioned. Create an environment where raising something doesn't feel risky for them. Or if you want, we can speak on behalf of yourself. But get a proper Category 1 and Category 2 risk assessment survey done now from us before rent increase or any tenancy change puts you in that position. It tells you what's actually there, not what's been reported. So now, make sure you become a free member with us. It costs you nothing, and it means that you're not reliant on tenant silence to stay safe. So the action you need to take. Having a quiet tenant doesn't mean that you've got a compliant property. It's a property where you don't yet know what you don't know, and with Section 21 gone and claims made easy for tenants, you will find out eventually at the worst possible time. So book your free 30-minute consultation today at the very least. No obligation, and let's talk through what might be sitting there unreported. Do not hesitate. Book a Category 1 and Category 2 risk assessment survey. As we said, become a free member. Find out now on your terms, not later on someone else's.